Welcome to the International Art Doll Registry today as we talk about the power of going to a doll convention. I am Leslie. Bambi, have you ever attended a doll conference before?
Hey everybody. Leslie, actually I've never been to one for dolls, but I have been to several for writing. So I'm anxious to talk to you about that today and kind of compare and see what the differences are or how they're the same and what we think we can get out of them.
Well, what a doll conference is first of all, there is different types because I just went to a porcelain doll conference, which is different than what would be like doing a polymer doll conference because the levels of, if you're doing a jury show with it, you would have different levels of what they would be looking at for a finished doll. So
Hmm.
that's the reason why with this porcelain one was more important because it's in my medium that I work with. A doll conference is where there's an opportunity to enter a jury show where you can meet people from all over the world because we actually had some people from Korea, Japan, and South Africa at this last conference that I just went to.
Wow.
Yeah, and then also you have the opportunity to sell, uh, I would say sell you dolls because to me that's more the big deal. But at this conference I just went to, they were selling more doll making supplies. So that all kind of goes up to the type of conference that you're going to. Because I know you asked me earlier in the post as far as what type of conference, and it's really funny because you know that there's a difference of attitude of how we say doll makers versus figurines that we've talked about before. There's an
Yeah.
attitude between the antique doll makers and the modern. So even though it's been
Oh.
part of this organization probably about 20 years ago, I guess, and there was that awareness then. And I'm thinking, ladies, it's been another 20 years, and you guys are still having this little kind of
Yeah.
jealousy or tit for tat type of situation between them because the antique people are definitely focused on their thing and the modern people are definitely focused on their attitude. So it's kind of an interesting dynamics to watch. So
Yeah, I think that's one of the great things about conferences and conventions and different things like that that you go to is just, any kind of artist, whether you're a sculptor or a writer, you spend a lot of time alone. You're very isolated. You don't interact very much with other people who are like-minded. So it gives you a really good opportunity to see, like you said, it's been 20 years. You're still talking about this. So,
exactly.
yeah, it's a great opportunity to network with other artists and stuff and just kind of see what the mindset is out there because it definitely changes. It goes up and down and back and forth.
Well, and to be honest, we need the conferences to keep people engaged with each other. Just like you said, we feel so alone that when we go to a conference and say, "Oh, there's a whole group of us all liking the same stuff, and we want to be able to share our interests," you then kind of network together and you kind of stay connected and stuff more so than, as you said, if you're always by yourself, where do you get new inspiration? Where do you go for new ideas? Where do you find even new products to be able to use? So, I mean,
Yeah.
the conferences, and that's just it, because I kept hearing at the conference, is this worth attending? And that's where they brought up was the fact that because you can do workshops there where you can learn new products. In fact, I went to one workshop only because she had mentioned that she was going to do wax flowers there, and I wanted to find out what she meant by wax flowers. Now, the workshop in 4 hours wasn't spent on the wax flowers, but at least I got that information from her so that I can play with that a little bit at home if I want to. But that's
Yeah.
where, to me, the conferences are a great learning curve because,
Yeah.
as
I
we
think
came,
I think as far as whether or not it's worth going, you need to do your research because as a polymer clay artist, it might not have been worth going for me to go to a porcelain doll conference. Was
correct,
it a conference? Yes, a conference.
yeah,
And so, so you need to do your research and make sure. Then again, I'm sure there were many workshops that I could have learned a lot about. Like you said, the wax flowers. Several of the other things that you mentioned that you picked up new products that you learned about, and
correct,
different things like that. And even
because
watching a porcelain artist, I learn a lot about sculpting the techniques and the strategies, even though it's a different medium, I still learn a lot.
Yeah, and it's like even you said, because I'm not a big sewer, our costume, especially you and I, we do that extra step of sewing. And so the one little tidbit I got was that pin that's disappears with the heat applied to it. Oh yeah,
Wow.
that was going to be real interesting to work with and stuff because that'll help the sewing. So those are just things that you come across them that you wouldn't have normally. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do agree with you that I think because there was one lady there that was not a doll maker, but she sews. And so therefore she could then sell
Oh,
what she did to the other doll makers that just want to make the dolls and don't want to worry about the sewing. So there is
uh-huh.
different ways of getting involved and stuff. So yeah, I
Yeah.
do think that overall the conferences themselves are worthwhile going to. And in this case, I had never been to Tennessee. And
Oh.
so
Yeah,
so that was
usually conferences are held in destination cities, places people want to go. So it is just important to, not just do your thing and then hang out in your hotel room for the rest of the time, but, really make the most of it. Really, really do a lot of networking and make connections with people that you may never see again, but you become friends for life in just a day or two.
oh yeah. And it was really interesting was because I can't take the heat very well, but the whole time of the conference, it was in a nice 70s the whole time. And so I really appreciated it, especially when I came back home to 50-degree weather and snow still in the forecast.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We're so warm here. I was just sitting out on my porch. I had to come inside where there's air conditioning.
Oh no, no, dear. We still have the S word in our language right now for at least this next day or two. How did they feel about online conferences? Now, all of their reactions were no, they didn't like them. But I thought, but you guys aren't considering bigger picture because I think we really need to blend both of them together. We can't think that we can only do just conferences in person because not everybody can make them. So you're kind of shutting out part of your group that would still benefit from at least doing an online conference. So you may not be able to see the doll if you're doing the jury show section of it as closely as you could if you could see it in person. But I think that it's still worthwhile considering.
There are definitely pros and cons to both. As we've seen with our monthly meetings with our members and whatnot, and we get on a Zoom meeting and we have people all over the world all at the same time. It's very cost effective. It doesn't cost anyone anything really, except for their
Mhm.
time. Our poor members who have to stay up till midnight or later to catch up with the rest of us. But other than that, it's a great opportunity to network with people who might not otherwise get to attend. And, since the way that our whole world has changed in the last few years, a lot of people are still not interested in getting out and mingling in big crowds and that kind of thing, so I think it is good for us to offer both options and to try out both options, and because you get some great things out of both, and then there are some negative things of both, of course, like everything else.
Well, I think in some respects too, because when you do go to an in-person conference, you get the adventure of going as you said, really outside your comfort zone, to be able to meet
Yeah.
people, going to places and stuff like that.
Stay in a
And so
fancy hotel.
exactly. I mean, so that was fun. But as you said, if you can't join that conference, you may not be able to participate in that particular one. But if they do host another conference that's online, that's definitely worth, making sure that you participate because again, as you said, there's always that community of all of us that engage on that online event to make it worthwhile.
Yeah. I would guess too that a lot of larger conferences have if they have someone that's, let's say they have a famous porcelain doll artist who's giving a speech, or even the keynote speech or whatnot, something like that. I'm sure a lot of those places have that streaming so that even people who aren't able to attend a conference can maybe get in for free, or to pay a small fee to see the keynote speech, or to sign up for individual workshops, or those kind of things. So even though you may not actually be there physically, you can still stream and get the information and a lot of the same experience.
Yeah, you're bringing up some good ideas for me, dear. I've got something brainstorming in the back of my head that will become revealed later on here this month. So,
I'm a whiz for ideas. I'm full of them.
well, like I said, I didn't really want to get in and out of too much of this conference because it is again in my medium, which is more selective than what the polymer is. But I think that overall the conference idea definitely has some worthwhile uh, angles to discuss. I didn't know, is there anything
Yes.
else that I
Well, when I was before COVID, there was a lot more getting together of people, and the Romance Writers of America was the largest organization for romance writers in the world, and they have a big, big, big conference every year. When I first started writing, there was also a magazine that reviewed romance novels every month. It was called Romantic Times, and they had a convention every year. And it was a lot different. The convention you would go, and they had the cover model contest, which was all the half naked guys parading around like a beauty contest for men. And of course, that was good. They had several authors sponsored different kind of things like the fairy ball and whatnot, where people would come in costume. And it was a big party atmosphere. There were definitely lots of workshops for writers. There were also lots of workshops for readers, people who read, who want to be reviewers or like to keep logs and that kind of thing. The conference that the other organization put on was definitely more business focused. It was a lot about how to run your business, a lot of workshops on that, and how to do your taxes and finances, all of those kind of things, how to have a business plan as an artist, things like that. So I wanted to just reiterate that it's important, before you plunk down, they are not cheap, these conferences. Going to them is very expensive. The registration fee, the hotel, all your meals, your transportation, it costs a lot of money. It's quite an investment. It can certainly claim it on your taxes, whether that
yep.
is lucrative or not, I can't say, but there's certainly that. But even still, it's a very large expense. So I highly recommend doing a lot of research, talking to people who've been reading reviews by other people, and things like that to really make sure you're getting your money's worth. But if you do and you find a good one that really, really can, um, give you a good education and some good contacts in the arena that you work in, I think it's totally, totally worth the money.
Well, or even the simple fact that you've always had somebody that you've wanted to meet as an artist, and they happen to be the
Oh,
key
yes.
speaker right there. It's like
Yes.
going to a band concert. You want to be there.
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful opportunity because most of the workshops, even the ones that are really full, when they have standing room only by some famous artist who's presenting the workshop, there's still a little Q&A after, and you still have an opportunity to hang around for a little bit afterwards and meet that person and maybe, get your photo or ask a question or, anything like that. So it really, really is a wonderful opportunity.
So at that point, I would say keep your eyes open for things that are going to be developing the IDR here later on. And otherwise, keep our eyes open also for in the IDR magazine, because I do try to post conferences as well as doll shows that aren't even just IDR related, but also that are throughout the nation so that we can all be informed.
Yes, and I just want to say in closing that I'm very excited that our next jury show is featuring fairies.
Yay, you me both. So hopefully everybody's working on their dolls to be able to do that. So
Yeah, I hope so.
I'll let you in on the secret, dear, is because what I'm doing is I'm seeing if we can't get an IDR conference going in Italy.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That would be
Yeah.
so
So
nice.
I will let you know more about it after the 15th.
So,
All right. Well, then again, always join us on our Facebook page or visit our website that's listed in the comments below. And then we will see you next time then, Bambi.
okie dokie. Bye, everybody.